pandemic definitely changed our work and personal lives. From a clinical practice standpoint, initially when we went into the shutdown, we had to make immediate arrangements for patients who couldn't make it to the infusion center or make it to the clinic to receive their care. We incorporated a lot of telemedicine. We changed the schedule of infusions for a number of patients. If we can delay the infusions, we delayed them. For patients who were getting chemotherapy, we had to take a hard look at whether continuing chemotherapy would outweigh the risks associated with acquiring a COVID-19 infection. And finally, we were still learning about what would be the impact of COVID for patients with various cancers. So it was a time of rapid adjustment. Thankfully, the entire oncology community came together in helping each other, learning from each other, and that made a big difference.
Our patients, as you know, they come in for treatment anyway. They still had to come and see us. We really needed to support them in doing so. But we had all the difficulty of, having visitor restrictions. And visitors are a huge part of the healing for our patients and really their support system. And so we had to really figure out a way to incorporate them. So we maybe had to use a little extra creativity and a little extra time to connect with the families and friends and spouses and support system of our patients.
As with everyone, the pandemic has affected us greatly in terms of the way we deliver care to patients. My own institution has made a lot of changes, but I think overall we have now settled into a way we practice which is different than before, but still manages to give the same level of high quality care that our patients need.
There are some things that we can't wait to be done with and to be able to return to what we had known as normal. Those would include getting rid of the masks, or at least limiting their use, being able to see more than 2 or 3 people at a time. We're all really missing that human connection and finding it so exciting to be able to start seeing people in 3D instead of the 2D that you're seeing me now.
We've had the similar problems with accrual during the COVID-19 pandemic, including working from home, patients not coming to clinic, and interest in clinical issues rather than clinical trials. However, over this ENCORE year, we have had our highest accrual ever.
There are a number of lessons learned specifically for clinical research from the pandemic. As we try to look at every single process, test, visit in a protocol, we had to make changes during the pandemic to minimize the exposure of patients to the risk of the infection and also minimize the risk of exposure of the staff. This also taught us that how many of these steps are really necessary and how some of them are not necessary. So my hope is that we can take this knowledge forward and ask those critical questions when we write protocols and we conduct and design trials.
I think the biggest impact that we're still trying to unpack and unravel is what the impact really is of the pandemic on cancer care. And I think we're going to still learn this over many years. But I think we also learned as a community that we can deliver care in a lot of different ways and we can be creative. And I think it's really going to be an important message as we continue to move forward for us to see how we can connect with patients, even if we don't have them always in front of us, and even if we don't have all their family members there as well.
We've also found some things that really helped us grow and helped us learn how to do things differently, and things that we learned were better. We got institutional approval to find the technology fixes to allow study monitors to access our EMR directly. We also learned things we can do from home. We made sure all of our research staff had laptops so that they could work from home, that they all had access to the systems they needed to from home. We moved into electronic consent, not just for banking studies, but for therapeutic trials. Also reducing the amount of trips patients need to make to the center just to take care of study paperwork. We worked with our IRB to allow virtual visits to be appropriate and acceptable for study follow-up for patients who are no longer on treatment, but who are just continuing long-term survival follow-up.
I've tried to do my part through social media, interacting directly with patients, not just Mayo Clinic patients or ECOG patients, but basically patients anywhere in the US or in the world. And just listening to them and answering their questions has helped me learn a lot about COVID, about the challenges that patients faced before COVID and how COVID has amplified them. As all of you, I would like to get this behind us and move on to a situation where we don't have to face so many cases in the US. And that can be accomplished by vaccination, and I'm very hopeful that we will get there in the next few months.
Really want to thank the teamwork from our sites in Wisconsin and our newer sites in Illinois, which have helped us overcome obstacles.
I really would like to thank the entire cancer community, in particular the nursing, not just committee, but nurses as a whole. They really have continued to be on the front lines and work every day and go to clinics when they were scared as well about how that would impact themselves or their family members. And they continue to take care of our patients with cancer.
We've been very fortunate to have such a dedicated staff centrally within the ECOG-ACRIN offices and with our own research group, and with a keen focus to say our biggest priority is maintaining treatment in a safe and compliant way for patients who are actively being treated on therapeutic studies. We hope we can see you all again soon. Thanks for all of the work that you have done on behalf of our patients.
The encouraging news is that even during this difficult 18 months or so, clinical research has continued in many institutions, and ECOG-ACRIN has continued to accrue trials to its studies. And that is thanks to the investigators, the clinical research staff, the coordinators, and everyone who is engaged in making clinical trials a success at their respective institutions. Without your hard work and commitment to clinical trials and to pushing the envelope in developing new treatment options for various cancers, we could not be where we are today.